the Coast Guard responds to back-to-back rescue cases.
Oh, I see two guys that are 9 o'clock.
Rising waters threaten to wipe out hikers trapped along the Oregon shore.
That made for one of the more complex duty days that I've had.
And blistering burn injuries take down a cargo ship crewman.
What exactly burned him?
It was fuel oil that splashed on his face.
Burner's going down.
On the Pacific coast, rescuers on a Mayday call crank up the effort when a fishing vessel goes dark.
I'm barely visual.
Flying in fog is like putting a pillowcase over my head and running down the street at 120 knots.
Searching tonight is going to be next to impossible.
Coast Guard Astoria. Do you read me? Over.
High peaks and tumultuous waters make Cape Disappointment and the Pacific Northwest one of the most hazardous environments in North America. At the heart of it all is the Columbia River Bar. This deadly area has taken countless vessels and claimed hundreds of lives. In the air and on the sea, brave men and women of the U.S. Coast Guard risk their own safety so that others may live. In a place known as the Graveyard of the Pacific.
APL Tokyo, 962-foot container ship. They have an injured crew member, second-degree burns over 40% of his body. They are originally about 600 miles offshore. D-13 has established a rendezvous point that is approximately 250 nautical miles from our location.
They're so far out at sea. With the limited range of the helicopter, we have to wait until they're within our range to go out and get them. What we're thinking about when we plan long-range medevacs is how far we can go out, have enough time to hover, work with the vessel, get the patient on board. We have to make sure we have the fuel to do all that and then get back safely.
So Daniel, if you could just help improve that plan based on aircraft performance, icing, headwinds, tailwinds.
Okay.
AMT2 Ed Secra, second Columbia River. We're pulling the dewatering pump out, we're pulling the ice chocks out, we're pulling a bunch of stuff out because the pilots are basically trying to cram every last bit of fuel into the aircraft.
The EMT kit is on for weight and balance.
Yeah.
So we need to know how much his body weighs with a dry suit and a vest on.
Okay.
Lieutenant Junior Grade Jason Maddox. I'm the newest pilot in the wardroom. This was only my second time getting launched on duty.
Now please ready helo on the line for your 02 people on rocks in the vicinity of Hug Point State Park, Cannon Beach. Please ready helo on the line for 02 people.
My first thought was that they were sounding a SAR alarm for the SAR case that we had already been planning for, so that was a little bit confusing to me. Once they made the announcement that this was for 2 people on the side of a rock at Hug Point, south of Cannon Beach, we had to switch gears. Cannon Beach is just a short hop to the south. Worst case scenario, they're hanging by their fingertips, and at that point, there's not a whole lot of time before they can't hang on any longer.
I would like to say that there is a possibility that we could do this, get gas, and go on the other mission. So is everybody dressed and prepared for that?
Yes, everything's back on, but it's all ready to go, so if we need to come back, hot gas.
Okay.
We don't know where the guy's going to be at. You know, are they on the edge of the water right now? Is the tide going to continue coming up and sweep them off the rock? These things kind of play in your mind, so just got to go. Just got to go nose down and go.
All right, guys, we've got light showers, some fog.
Cliff rescues in the Pacific Northwest are always different based on the winds, which part of the cliff, which side of the cliff they're on.
013-3205. You are on top of the victims right now. One is wearing all black, one is wearing all camo. He's almost impossible to see. He is directly to your north, and they're on that flat rock.
Oh, I see 2 guys that are 9 o'clock. Roger, I have visual on them.
I looked right out to the left, and sure enough, they were there in black and camo, sitting on top of some rocks. There's no way out. They're literally, their back is against a wall, and all they have around them is water.
All right, Chris and Ed, because I'm not going to have a ton of visual cues out the side of the aircraft. Can we minimize the actual cliff walking?
I was going to shoot for almost no cliff walking, just put it straight down onto that ledge.
Okay, Chris, does that sound okay to you?
That'd be fantastic.
Okay.
And be advised, it looks like that water level's rising on them, so.
Okay.
The primary concern at that point was that there might not be a whole lot of time to get them off before they possibly were swept into the ocean.
All right, they just got hit with a big wave.
Okay, begin the lift.
Roger, have target sight, load check storm. And load check complete. Swimmer is going down. Hold position. Swimmer is approaching the rock. And hold, and swimmer is on deck. Swimmer's okay. Swimmer's approaching first survivor. Swimmer's getting quick strap around survivor.
100 feet.
Signal. And prepare to take the load. And take the load.
One of the guys was really cold. I grabbed him first. I was looking at him, and I'm like, dude, what the heck are you doing here? I put the quick strap around him, told him to hang on, and they were ready to go. Just like any time you find people who are in that type of situation, they just want to get out of it.
And take the load. Swimmer and survivor are clear of the rock. Swimmer and survivor are outside cabin. And swimmer and survivor are inside cabin.
100 feet.
Medical survivor in the seat. And swimmer is resetting. Check swimmer. Roger. Swimmer is going out shore for a load check. Swimmer is going down. Swimmer is going down.
Once we put the rescue swimmer down for the second survivor, he does the same quick check, secures them to his harness, and brings them back up.
Swimmer and survivor are clear of the deck. Easy right and hold.
Can we clear the area?
Yes, sir. You're clear to move back. Bring swimmer and survivor inside cabin.
With these survivors, they were just cold and had been out there for a while. We knew that there was a fire rescue team on the beach in that area, so we began preparing for a landing to the beach.
I have target sight. I'm going to con you as close as I can to the rocks. Easy down. And main gear is on deck. Are they clear to move around to the side, sir?
Yes, they are. Everyone's cleared in and out at your discretion.
Roger. They're going to be coming around the nose and out towards the ocean side to stay clear of that rotor arc.
As soon as we dropped the two off, we immediately took off and headed straight back for the air station. We weren't sure if they were going to launch another crew yet, but we were prepared to execute the other case, so we came back as quickly as we could.
Chris, go ahead.
Okay, so for the next one, I was just curious if you're planning on shutting down.
My plan, if they still have us do it, is to do a hot gas, and we keep going.
Dropping those two guys off and then having to change gears back to what we initially did, yeah, I mean, that made for one of the more complex duty days that I've had.
Now that we're back on deck, the plan is to fuel the aircraft so that we can get 230 miles offshore and back. And we also had to pick up our other rescue swimmer.
No, sir, I actually talked to the flight surgeon. Their biggest concern right now is the possibility of shock or his airway becoming compromised exists. Okay. You guys ready? Yes, sir.
Whenever something becomes more complex, it's gonna help to have another set of hands. And Chief was right there, and I know that he's dealt personally with burn patients in the past, so I needed that extra body. We needed him, the patient needed him more than anything.
I'm ready to go, sir.
Gotta make sure these numbers look good before we get going.
One of the engineering members on a large container ship heading to Asia has some very severe burns over a majority of his body. They're several hundred miles out in the Pacific. And just with the limited range of the helicopter, the Coast Guard has got them to turn around, but they're so far out at sea. We want to fly the aircraft in a max range profile so that we can get as far as we can using as little fuel as possible.
You guys ready? Yes, sir. Ready to off.
So they're at 233, and in the 2 hours, they'll be at 190 or so. So we're looking pretty good for distance.
So what does a third degree burn look like?
First degree is a bad sunburn. Second degree is second layer skin, pretty much, where all the nerve endings and the real painful one. Yeah. And then third degree is all the way to the bone.
Whenever something becomes more complex, it's gonna help to have another set of hands. And Chief was right there, and I know that he's dealt personally with burn patients in the past, So I needed that extra body. We needed him. The patient needed him more than anything.
Whenever you do a medevac, just because they're ambulatory doesn't mean they should be, because they may be perfectly stable where they are, and we may help them crash with what we're about to do.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and also their barrier to the environment is now compromised. So hypothermia becomes a very real and scary thing.
We're currently 9 minutes out, so if you guys want to be keeping your game faces on, roger that.
On the flight out, all I could see was getting to that boat and getting that guy and bringing him back and making sure that we did the hoist before it got dark out.
0113, roger. We have them in sight.
Vessel Tokyo, this is a Coast Guard helicopter. Over.
Yes, helicopter, this is the APL Tokyo.
I have a few questions for you, sir. What exactly burned him? Over.
It was fuel oil that splashed on his face.
Has he been able to eat anything or drink anything?
Yes, he has been drinking water. He takes it with a straw because his lips hurt.
Roger that, sir. Thank you for your assistance. Coast Guard helicopter 6013, out.
Ed moves me up to the door. I'm still on the intercom system talking to the pilots about where we're gonna go. All I knew for sure is that I was gonna go down there and that a rescue device was gonna follow me and I was gonna put the guy in it.
All right, we're going to make a visual approach to the starboard quarter of the vessel. Group ready for approach. Ready for approach.
Vessel Tokyo, Vessel Tokyo.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Vessel Tokyo, we're going to be making our approach. Is the patient ready to be hoisted?
He's ready to go.
We're hoisting from the starboard bridge wing above the shipping containers where the captain and the other crew members steer and they drive the ship from.
Ed, there's a guy in the door, and I get the impression that our guy is right behind him. Yes, sir, that's what I'm thinking too. Okay? All right, so 3 hoists consecutive. Any questions? No questions? Begin the hoist.
Roger that. I have the target in sight, and trail line's going out the cabin door.
Roger.
Trail line's holding 5 feet above the bridge wing.
Come in.
Roger, easy right. Position is good. And trail line that's on deck. Position.
Okay.
And a crew member is getting the trail line.
Roger, check swimmer.
Roger, checking swimmer. Swimmer is ready.
100 feet. 100 feet.
And load check complete. Swimmer is going down. Position is good. And swimmer is on deck. Bringing the hoist hook back up. Turn lights on deck being tended. Swimmer is approaching the bridge door. Roger. And bringing basket outside cabin door. Basket going down. Position is good. And basket is on deck being tended.
Is Austin inside?
Austin is inside, sir.
I was able to talk to the captain about a few things that he'd done to the burn survivor and how he was doing. I knew there was going to be some screaming, some agonizing pain coming from this guy. And luckily, as soon as that was happening, I turned back and the basket was on deck.
Austin just came out and they have the survivor outside.
How does he look to be walking?
He seems to be walking pretty well. He's actually trying to help out.
Okay.
So as soon as the basket was there, I asked him if he'd be able to sit in that. He didn't seem very excited about it, but judging how he was able to carry himself by himself, I figured that he was going to be able to get in there and just get going.
Survivor is getting inside basket. And I have the rear pickup signal. And prepare to take the load. Take the load. Basket is clear of the deck. Guns on deck being tended. And basket is below cabin. And bringing basket inside cabin. Position is good.
The patient was in pain. Unfortunately, he had quite a few blisters covering both his upper torso, his face, and his lower legs. You could tell that they had tried to tend to the wounds, but again, on the boat, they just had very, very basic care.
And Chris is connecting to the hoist hook and taking the load. Chris is clear of the deck. You're clear to move easy left.
Definitely a high hoist. That bridge is pretty far up there, and we're another 40 feet or so above that.
And control on the swing.
100 feet. 100 feet.
That's when I decided to look down because I was just kind of curious how high up we were. And that definitely added to the intense factor of what was going on. We were definitely high enough to do some damage if I fell off or, you know, if something went wrong.
And prepare to take the load, take the load. Basket is clear of the deck. Guns on deck being extended.
The injured crew member has second-degree burns over 40% of his body, and he's been without any medical care for over 24 hours.
And bringing basket inside cabin.
We recovered the patient using the aircraft's basket, and then we did a trail line recovery of the rescue swimmer and immediately began preparing for the transit back to the hospital.
Bringing Chris inside cabin. Hoist complete. And cabin door is coming closed, ready for forward flight. Nice job, guys. APL Tokyo, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Now he's in the safest hands possible.
Roger that, sir. Thank you for your assistance.
Looking at the blisters on his body, I can't imagine what kind of pain he was in, so we kind of set him in the seat, made him as comfortable as we could, and then we tended to the wounds.
Do you want to try and get any vitals on this guy? I'm going to let him sit for a minute. I've got blisters bursting all over him. Yep. So right now it's running down, and we're catching it. Or we did open up some wounds on him. So we'll just keep an eye on him, and we'll make sure that this doesn't settle in for the wounds. And we're just going to do a real loose wrap around it.
We knew we had to try to cover him up as best we could, but there's that fine line of doing too much because I knew that all that stuff was going to have to get taken off as soon as he got back to land. So we tried to cover up the deeper stuff and then leave the rest for the specialists and the doctors at the burn unit.
All right, burn side 50 miles, guys.
As we approached the Oregon coast, once we picked that flight plan up, it was going to take us into the clouds and into known icing conditions.
You can see we've got some icing here on the windshield wiper blades. Also got ice building on the mirrors. The aircraft anti-ice systems are on. And we've got a main rudder de-ice fail caution light. Guys, we've got a main rudder de-ice system failure. Coast Guard Rescue 6013. We are not declaring an emergency, but we are having a de-icing system failure. Request climb to 7,000 feet to avoid icing.
The thought was running through our head, like, this is bad. This is not where we wanted to be at. And it was the first time on a SAR case where I actually thought of back home for a quick second, and it shook me. You know, it was a split-second thing. It's just instinctual. Don't get wrapped up in what's going on up front. And I immediately went back to focusing on the patient. Take care of this guy. Don't stress out about that.
All right, guys, we're cleared for the approach. We're about to descend through icing conditions, so expect an increase in vibrations. Something we've got to do to get down.
We descended, the aircraft got iced up, and we broke out as quickly as we could. We're in a better air, and we chose to continue on to Portland, knowing that we'd only have to descend through the icing one time.
All right, let's set up for an approach.
It was a good feeling knowing that, oh, we're so close, we're right here. All we have to do is land this helicopter safely, and this guy is out of our hands and into somebody else who can really start taking good care of him. That was the whole point of the mission, was to get him there, and we did it, and I was so happy when we did.
That day was probably the pinnacle of my Coast Guard career. I've been in the Coast Guard for 9 years, and all I ever wanted to do was fly a Coast Guard helicopter, and ultimately to save lives. And to be able to do that not only once, but twice in one day, and to assist or save 3 lives was a dream come true.
I'm Captain Bruce Jones. I'm the commanding officer of Air Station Astoria and commander of Sector Columbia River. The last few months have been a good workout for us. We've had a lot of aircraft maintenance issues. The crews have been working around the clock. This is sort of a chance today to just sit down and joke around a little bit and have some chili, enjoy a beverage, and then get ready for the winter season.
I'm Lieutenant Daniel Cathel, an MH-60 helicopter pilot at Air Station Astoria.
Ready, go!
Today we're having a morale day where we're having a cooking and playing some dodgeball in the on-base gym. It was originally supposed to be outside, but with the typical Astoria weather, we moved the grill under the awning, and so we'll be inside today.
The summer's over. Fall lasted about 2 days, and now it's winter. We've got rain, we've got cold, we've got fog, low visibility, low ceilings, and it's just going to get worse for the next 3 or 4 months. Can I have everybody's attention just for a second? Your work never stops. You are all the ones here that let this air station operate and let us be as successful as we are and have as many lives saved as we have. I thank you for your maintenance, for all your mission support and all your mission execution. We'll just continue saving lives throughout the Pacific Northwest thanks to your work.
This girl went out in the water and they're way out there, they're screaming.
Now put the ready helo on the line for a female in the surf at Sunset Beach.
You get into that surf on the beach, it looks very benign, but it's very easy for someone to think that they're in a manageable situation, and all of a sudden the water's pulling them down and they can't do anything about it.
All right, it looks like there's a man holding a woman who appears to be completely lifeless and limp.
You gonna be able to get her in the basket?
I'm not sure. You're not looking great, sir.
Sector Columbia River, Coast Guard Copter 6029. Airborne at this time, 3.5 hours fuel. Request you assume radar guard at this time, over.
Roger. Assume your radio guard at minute 15.
Go Sector Columbia River, what's your emergency?
Girls went out in the water and they're way out there, they're screaming.
Okay, do you have a visual on her?
One of them came in. She looks like she's walking in right now, but the other one we can't find.
You cannot find the other girl.
No.
Now put the ready helo on the line for a female in the surf at Sunset Beach.
You get rain showers to the east?
Yeah. Missing person, Sunset Beach.
Do you hear that, 16? Hold on. Sounds like person in the water, right, Sunset Beach, just right there.
I'm Captain Bruce Jones, Commanding Officer of Air Station Astoria, and I was just out doing a Friday afternoon training flight, and just as we were flying over the air station, we heard Sector come out with the notification that there was a report of a person in the surf at Seaside Beach.
Sector 6029, overhearing possible PIW on 16. We have a flight mech on board if you need us to respond quickly.
Jesse Culver, Lieutenant, H-60 Aircraft Commander. Where it was just basically a 2-minute flight from our position. Knowing that the other aircraft would take some time to launch, we just said, hey, well, let's just go check it out.
The water's pretty cold up here all year round. You get into that surf on the beach, it looks very benign, but the shock of the cold water hits you, and it's very easy for someone to think that they're in a manageable situation, and all of a sudden the water's pulling them down and they can't do anything about it.
We can get down there and do the initial search, and if it's not looking good, they can send the radio aircraft down there.
We don't have a sword. We want to go ahead and get the basket ready to go?
Yeah, just in case.
We thought momentarily about landing to grab a rescue swimmer, but that would have taken about 5 minutes. We figured either we're going to get there and it's going to be nothing, or we're going to get there and it's going to be an immediate life-saving situation, in which case we don't have time to get the rescue swimmer.
Let Sector know that we're on our way to Sunset Beach right now.
Okay, roger that.
Request code is orange belt, move out the cab.
Yeah, go ahead and start rescue checks part 1.
Roger.
I'm AT3 Blair Pedersen, flight mechanic here at Air Station Astoria. I started going through the checklists, prepping the cabin for recovery without really knowing what was going on there. But worst case scenario, we know that we're going to pull somebody out of the water. Got the basket ready, knowing that we wouldn't have anybody on the ground that's trained. It's the easiest thing for them to put, any lifeless or unresponsive person into.
There it is right there, maybe about 1 o'clock.
All right, we're going to make an approach to hover over Sunset Beach and see if we can observe the person in the water and see what kind of assistance is needed.
All right, door speed. Roger, doors. Cabin doors coming up. The guy just went out into the water. Yeah, there's something floating in the water out there. That guy's walking out too.
As we were coming into a hover, we saw a guy walking out into the surf about waist level, and I saw a black object in the water, which he quickly grabbed.
All right, it looks like there's a man holding a woman who appears to be completely lifeless and limp. He's holding her face out of the water.
We moved over into a hover over the gentleman who had apparently gone out very heroically to rescue the drowning young woman, and he had gotten his arms around her, but he was having a hard time pulling her in back towards shore. So we lowered the rescue basket.
We're going to put the basket down. I hope you can get her in. Target 130, begin to hoist.
Basket outside the door. Going down.
We were about a 70-foot hover. I didn't want to come too low because, normally when we put a basket down, we have a swimmer down there with the survivor, and he can kind of keep him supported. This guy was just by himself with this girl, and I didn't want to blow them over.
Board race 20. Board race 10. Board race. This now suitor good right here. Roger.
You gonna be able to get her in the basket?
I'm not sure. He's putting her in the basket right now. Basket survivor are coming up.
The gentleman put the survivor in the basket. We could see her eyes were moving. She was coughing, but didn't look very well.
Survivor's just below the cabin. She's not looking great, sir. Bring the survivor inside.
All right, so we need to start CPR. Be ready for that. We recovered her in the basket, and we just told Blair, hey, check and see if she's got vitals. We need to know, do we need to get CPR started on her, or does she seem to be okay?
How's the woman doing? She breathing?
Looks like she's breathing. She's coughing up a lot of water. But she is breathing. Anybody got eyes on that guy in the water?
He is swimming back. He's made it back on shore, so. Let's go ahead and take her to an ambulance back at the airfield.
Roger.
The survivor was somewhat responsive. Her eyes would open and close. You could see she was coughing up seawater. It was a quick ride back. I actually stayed on the cabin deck next to her the whole way back.
Looks like an ambulance coming down the main road from the front gate. They should be there right by the time we pull up to the hangar. Good timing. How's she doing, Blair?
She's still coughing quite a bit. I think she's gonna be okay, though.
Whoever the guy was that went out in the water just saved her life, that's for sure. I mean, he was holding her face out of the water. She'd have been drowned if he had been there.
Cooper, ready for approach? Ready for approach.
She was in pretty bad condition. Decisions were made very quick. Everyone was in tune with it. Definitely all-around team effort. The whole SAR case was snap decisions. It feels great. I mean, coming off a standard trainer on a Friday afternoon and turn around and next thing you know, you're saving a life, so.
You're gonna be all right. Hang on. I've got a letter right here for you, okay?
There's nothing better than working together as a crew to affect a good outcome. In this case, a life saved. I mean, that's why we all joined the Coast Guard. That's why I'm still in the Coast Guard after 29 and a half years. And that's why I'm sure Petty Officer Pedersen, now he's got his first life saved under his belt, I'm sure he's pretty jazzed up too, and it's going to keep him motivated to keep doing the job as well. But for all of us, really, here at Sector Columbia River or across the river at Cape Disappointment with the boat crews, it's the same thing. You get underway as a crew, you're all working as a team together, you're all part of the effort, and if you save a life and you bring somebody back to shore in the back of your boat or the back of your helicopter, it's just a great day. And hey, it's Friday afternoon. What a way to end the week.
Carly.
Carly?
Yeah.
Tim Jones here.
Nice to meet you. My name is Carly Gilligan. I grew up here in Seaside and near Astoria, and I'm about to head out to the United States Coast Guard Academy.
As long as you're about how can I get the 10 people around me to succeed, and they help me succeed, you do great. And that'll help you in your Coast Guard career as well.
Yeah.
A cadet is someone that goes to the Coast Guard Academy. It's very competitive to get in. In fact, Carly's gone to school for 2 years. She's been in college for 2 years, and now she's gonna push that all aside and start off as a fourth-class cadet.
I'm not quite sure what exactly I want to do in the Coast Guard, but my dad's a pilot, so I've always been into planes and stuff.
And ready to take off. Hey, Carly, Saddle Mountain's coming up at 1 o'clock. We'll put it out here right inside.
It was awesome. I saw everything. In a helicopter, it's a lot different than a plane because it's a smaller area and you get to tilt more. It's such a great view from the air.
So, Will, is Carly somewhere where she can see out the right side?
Yes, sir. She's in the flight mech seat.
Oh, good. She's smiling?
Yes, sir.
That's good.
Seeing a future member of the Coast Guard go up in a helicopter is definitely rewarding because we want to continue to put good people in Coast Guard aircraft. So to see her face light up when we're out flying was awesome.
Yeah, Oregon's a great state. Go from the ocean on the coast range, the kind of rainforest type, then you get the Cascade Mountains, you get the high desert, Eastern Mountains, the Blue Mountains on the Idaho border. A little bit of everything.
So Carly, right off the nose is the tunnel. Your house is north of here, to the right.
So I'm leaving really soon, in like 2 days for the academy and going through some basic training. And that's gonna be rough, but I'm pretty excited because I know it's coming and what I can look forward to now.
You guys like it? Yeah, excellent. It is cool. After 30 years, it's still cool.
Yeah.
Patricia Ann has been located, taking on water.
Patricia Ann, this is Coast Guard Rescue Helicopter, channel 16, over.
Can you guys see the water below you?
Okay, now, sir.
The weather out there tonight is terrible. You can't see anything outside of the aircraft, so it'd be like putting a pillowcase over my head and running down the street at 120 knots.
I'm barely visual.
Yeah.
I'm making the decision that it's not worth risking 4 lives, the 4 lives of the folks in the aircraft, to search for something that we're not sure about.
Pon. Hello, Coast Guard. This is Patricia Ann. Over.
Patricia Ann, this is Coast Guard Sector Columbia River. Are you in need of assistance? Over.
Coast Guard Astoria. Do you read me? Over.
The Coast Guard just received a call of a vessel saying pon pon, pon pon, pon pon. They've made multiple calls repeatedly, about every 10 to 15 seconds. The vessel hasn't heard any of us call back to him, so he's not able to receive our calls. At this point, we don't know the nature of distress. They did provide a position that they're 50 miles off the Columbia River entrance. No idea how many people are on board, no idea the size of the vessel. All we know that its name is the Patricia Ann.
So that's our mission, is to go out and look for Patricia Ann. Weather's our big if, you know? Since he's been calling pon, what I'm thinking, Daryl, is maybe he just lost power. You know? Okay. So if we find him and we can't contact him, I'll probably put you down. What are you gonna say, hey, man? What's going on?
You could also just lower drop radio.
Yeah.
Good option.
Let's go on out there and see what we can do. Okay?
That's good.
Lieutenant Commander Dan Leary, Air Station Astoria, MH-60 Aircraft Commander. The weather out there tonight is terrible. Everyone's saying the fog's in their mast, limited visibility. We know we're gonna be in the clouds almost immediately. So the game plan is we have a predetermined route out there and back that keeps us clear of terrain.
Crew report, ready to take off. Ready to take off.
I'm gonna climb up to 1,500 feet.
Our game plan going out there is we're in an uncertainty phase. We don't know exactly what's going on. So it does warrant our best effort to go out there and make an approach to the water.
Sector 29, request to know if there's any amplifying information, if you have any good Samaritans able to talk to the guy or anything else going on.
Rescue 29, Sector Columbia River. We do not have any other amplifying information at this time, over.
Roger, good copy, and about 24 minutes for red.
My name is Petty Officer Hannah Silverman. I'm an OS 3rd class. Been putting out broadcasts for the past hour. I've been making call-outs to them. Sounds like pretty much everyone on the water has made call-outs all the way from southern Oregon to Canada, and the vessel has not responded. Last report was that it was really foggy in that area, so that's like our biggest concern right now for our helicopter is going to be searching in a really foggy area for an unknown situation.
Patricia Ann, this is the Coast Guard Rescue Helicopter, channel 16, over.
We'll shoot what's called a patch, a precision approach to a coupled hover to 80 feet and see what we can see at 80 feet. The radar on the MH-60T is phenomenal. We'll use that and hopefully pick up a target of a boat.
Patricia Ann, this is the Coast Guard Rescue Helicopter, channel 16, over. Patricia Ann, this is the Coast Guard Helicopter, channel 16, over.
We attempted to contact the vessel several times and with no response. We made an approach to the water where they were going to be located.
Sector 29, we're currently shooting an approach to the position you gave us. Over. All doors open.
Okay. Can you guys see down? Can you see the water below you?
I can now, sir.
Okay.
I was looking down just trying to see if I could see the water or not, or if I could see anything in the general vicinity of the area that we were looking, and I couldn't see anything. There was essentially zero visibility.
I'm barely visual. Yeah. Patricia Ann, Patricia Ann, Patricia Ann. This is Coast Guard helicopter, channel 16, over.
Flying in fog is you can't see anything outside of the aircraft. So it'd be like putting a pillowcase over my head and running down the street at 120 knots. What we're doing is we're relying on our instruments to assist us.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, there ain't nothing out here. And sector 6029. The fog comes all the way up to 2,000 feet.
6029, sector Columbia River. We want to get you back to the air station before 0200 because the fog is coming this way over.
We can't search in this. No, this is pretty horrible. Patricia Ann, this is Coast Guard Rescue Helicopter, channel 16, over. Searching tonight is going to be next to impossible.
At that point, those conditions are so dangerous. As an aircraft commander, I'm making the decision that it's not worth risking 4 lives, the 4 lives of the folks in the aircraft, to search for something that we're not sure about.
Sector from 29er, we are going to R2B at this time. We've made call-outs with no response from boats in the area, and the weather is very poor. Over.
We expect to win. Every time we go out and we launch, we don't go out thinking, well, hope we can help out. I mean, we expect to go out there to find someone and help them. You know, that's part of what we do, and that's why we go out there.
There was no way we could have searched in that, safely searched in that. Yeah. The ceiling was at about 180 to 200 feet.
I hope that these people are all right, and if they need assistance, they would make further attempts to contact on emergency frequencies or contact other mariners in the area for assistance.
Sector from 29er, we've landed safely at this time. Request you close our radio card.
We're really sad we couldn't find the boat, but this case isn't over until we find them. We'll head back out there first light in the daylight, and hopefully we'll find them.
Patricia Ann has been located, taking on water.
Patrick O'Brien, BM2, Station Cape Disappointment. Last night, the helo launched in search for the fishing vessel Patricia Ann. They got socked in by fog and were unable to find the vessel and had to return. This morning, we got a call from the Patricia Ann giving us their position and also letting us know that they're now taking on water. The fog is still lingering around this morning, so the helo will be unable to launch. We're going to launch a 47-motor lifeboat to the Patricia Ann.
"70-foot tugboat taking on water."
Barton Sean McDonald, Machinery 2nd Class, Station Cape Disappointment, Ilwaco, Washington. Weather conditions are not ideal to search for the Patricia Ann. You can't see more than 15 or 20 feet ahead of you, which makes it very difficult to search for anything.
Well, that sucks. We're gonna find the ghost ship in here. Yeah.
Even though we can see more now than what the helo could last night, we're still stuck in thick fog and having a very difficult time seeing.
There's a very big boat in the fog. Looks like a tuggish guy. Kind of tuggy. This our guy?
Yeah. We spot the Patricia Ann. We don't know just how much water is inside this boat, but it's still afloat. And luckily, there's nobody in the water.
Cave 207, we're on scene with the Patricia Ann. Our plan is we're going to be passing a pump over here along with a crew member.
We're going to board the Patricia Ann. Once 2 boats get next to each other, there's still swell between those 2 boats, so both boats can start rocking. We have a high risk of getting injured, has a very low water line, and if a swell picks up the 47 at the right time, we could slip in between the two boats and get crushed.
Coming over.
He was out for a couple of days, and apparently he ran into some rough seas. And with his vessel made of wood, basically it's one of those things where wood doesn't do very well on heavy seas.
So that water that I'm looking at right now, is that water incoming?
Yeah.
Okay.
And apparently the internal parts of his vessel were coming apart and plugging up his bilge pumps.
Pump still keeping up? His pump's keeping up. How much is on deck right now? Looks like it fills up more, about 8 to 10 inches. Roger that. We're not sure exactly where the water's coming in from. It looks like he's doing good. It's just we're here for just in case something does happen, so we have our pump here. You start heading in. Yep.
Now that we realize the Patricia Ann is keeping up with the flooding, we still have to make sure it gets back to port safely.
Hi. The relief for us is to know that we are able to come out and render assistance and get him across the Columbia River Bar safely.
We went out tuna fishing for the first trip of the season and got into rough weather. The boat was slamming around, and that caused debris to plug up the 2 bilge pumps we have. One of them had burned up, so we had 1 working bilge pump. It was not keeping up. We called the Coast Guard to let them know our situation, and unfortunately we had radio problems and couldn't hear any callbacks, but they heard us.
This situation, it worked out great. It doesn't always work out that way. The flooding can be a lot worse. Their pumps don't work, and they're floating in the water. Fortunately for this, they were able to get home under their own power.
I've lived in Astoria for 4 years, and you see all the TV stuff about, you know, the bar here is the worst. You think it's all Hollywood flash and dash, but all day long while we were fishing, there was distress calls coming in. There was a boat on fire, there's a sailboat that 4 people were in the water, there was another boat taking on water, and there's a lot of stuff that can happen out here, and I mean, these guys are, if it wasn't for them, I would never do it.